So in this one, I wish I had like 5 questions more like this because it's a great illustration. We got John sold his daughter 50% of his partnership interest. So these like bona fide transactions. The partnership had a profit of $80,000 before any compensation. Now we're going to learn later on that compensation to partners is not based upon a W-2 or an expense. It's a way of allocating profits to somebody through what we call guaranteed payments. Oftentimes recognizing for the work that they do, saying, all right, of the total profit, you're going to get so much of it for what you did. In this case, capital is a material income producing factor, which means that the residual is allowed to be allocated to the partners based upon their profit sharing ratios. In other words, the mere fact that the entity existed makes that allocation reasonable as opposed to like with service. The daughter performed no services. How much income should John claim on his tax return? Well, we know that it's $80,000. So one logical answer was to split the $80,000 into 2 piles of 40 and 40. However, that doesn't consider how much John should be getting for his performance of services, even though this is a capital material is an income producing factor. So of the first of the 80,000, the first 55,000 goes to John. That means that there's $25,000 of profit remaining that should be split based upon their profit sharing ratios. So John gets $12,500 and his daughter gets $12,500. And so if the question is how much John should recognize for the period, it's the 55 of the 80,000, he gets 55 plus 12 or 67,500. If the question is how much should his daughter recognize as income, she would recognize just simply 12,500. If you add the 12,500 and the 67,500, you would come up with the 80,000. So what we're looking at here is how do we allocate the profit in a situation where capital is a material income producing factor in this type of business. Okay? Now, I would venture to guess if I could do this problem differently with simply saying it's all service, then if she didn't render any services, then she wouldn't receive any of the profit. So that's where it's not. So it's a slightly different model. You can read more about that in there. But this was a good computational one because we actually got to do something on the board, which I love doing stuff on the board. Let's take a look at question number 9, which is not a board computation problem. In 9, members of a family who must meet special requirements to be recognized as partners for determining partners' distributive share include all of the following except 2, all of the following except the brothers and sisters. So logically, it includes your spouse, it includes your ancestors, and your lineal descendants as well. So brothers and sisters are eliminated. Now that's a good thing, okay? And you'll see this rule also in other areas and other entities. And I think it's because brothers and sisters tend to fight with each other, so they're not really considered to be related parties in that regard. I think there's more of an arm's length basis between them. It's just my thought. All right, I got a quick true-false question that I also found. Let's take a look at this one together. So we've got Jeff. He's a partner in Jones & Jones Accounting. The other 2 partners are his brother and his 16-year-old son, Cooper, who provides no services. He plays with his phone all day long, and posts Snapchat and stuff. The partnership income consists mostly of compensation for services performed by Jeff and his brother. Cooper, the 16-year-old, who doesn't do anything, acquired his interest by a gift from his grandfather. The grandfather's getting old, says, Leo, I can't do this. These debits and credits are getting to me, so I want you to have my interest. So Cooper is recognized as a partner in the firm for tax purposes. And the answer is no. Cooper doesn't do anything. There's nothing wrong really with getting it as a gift, but this is where service generates the amount of income, not capital, so it meets a whole different test. So Cooper is not a partner for tax purposes. Excuse me.